aboard. I'm Jeff.
I'm Kim.
And where is Tom? Well, Tom couldn't make it tonight, but this is the 3-0 Reds Fans podcast coming to you from Shea Jeanneret tonight. We're a short drive from our good friends at Beans in the heart of Cedarville, famous birthplace and the final resting place of Reds pitching legend Bumpus Jones. Last week, I guess it's been, 2-3 weeks. You were gone. I was at Tom's house, and we talked, and now you're back in town, and he's tied up right now, so maybe here the next time the three of us can all get together, but it's a busy summer so far, and spring as it were. So, but a big Reds welcome to some more of our new listeners, and big thanks to Podbean.com for giving us that huge boost. We're still listed as a featured podcast. Our followers on Podbean are up to 934.
I think, was it 2 weeks ago? It was like just over 600?
Now it's 934.
Wow.
Download numbers don't equal the followers, but, eventually maybe all of them will catch up to us. So when you do, I did look at the other analytics. We're now in 35 countries. We've had downloads, at least one download, in as many as 35 countries, the UK being our number 2. We do have a good follower on Twitter and who's from the UK. He had a question for us last week. And 38 states. So California's number 2. We're happy about that. Glad people are finding us and tuning in. And we put a call out for questions and stuff, comments, or topics you might want us to discuss just a couple hours ago. And we've got a few hits on Facebook and one on Twitter, so we will get to those as we work through. They're very hitting a lot of the topics we're going to hit anyway, so we'll just sort of introduce a lot of our topics by going right to them. So, anyway, you're back from your African adventure. I had mine. I think you're more tan than I am.
It's working out in the yard yesterday.
Working out in the yard? Oh, did you?
We're by the pool, actually, working on the pool.
Working on the pool.
Yeah, it's finally got clean.
Did it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I should have. It's Monday evening going on 8 o'clock. I should have brought the trunks. For a little dip. Yeah, twilight dip. Well, maybe next time. But when you left town, it was still the Reds just kind of flowering around. We win a couple, lose a couple, get to 3 games under 500, and then a week later we're 6 under, and then we back to 3, and then so forth, and lo and behold, and Tom and I talked about this in the last show. It's like there's got to be a winning streak somewhere. So we win 6 straight, do lose a couple to the Brewers. Of course, in the end, as you said when we were talking, well, when you win the first 2 of a series, you hope to do better than split, and you do. But when you look back on it, you get a split in Milwaukee, coming off the 6-game winning streak, and now going out to see the Angels this week, and then Cubs coming in. Was this a blip, or can they? They're not going to keep having 6-game winning streaks necessarily, but can they really turn the corner a little bit and play at more of a 575 winning percentage level, something like that? Maybe not 600, but instead of the 500 level we've been seeing, or a little below. Well, since the first start of the season, it's a little over 500, but it needs to get to that 575 or something like that to really probably contend and have a chance.
Make up for that slow start.
Make up for it. From what you've seen, is this team turn a corner, or is this just one of those 6-game winning streaks that everybody kind of has, even bad teams?
Well, when I left for Africa, we were about 4 to 5 under 500, so I had no internet access for like 8 days. And so when I finally had access when we were leaving and heading to Europe, I'm looking at the record, and I'm thinking, oh boy, about 6 or 7 under. I look at stats, it's like, oh boy, no one's hitting. Yeah. No one. I look at Suarez, ugh. Look at Winker, ugh. Look at Dietrich. Got his career high home runs. Nothing.
He didn't hit a home. I don't think he hit a home run the whole time you were out of town.
He and Winker did not. I think Suarez had 1.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa. And then what were we? 30 and 38. And I think, Jeff, to answer your question, what we witnessed the past 7 games is what happens when the team hits to the way we thought they would hit. In terms of hits, in terms of timely hits, is what we have not had by any stretch of the imagination. And the pitching has remained what we've seen all along. Not good pitching, overall very good pitching. And that's starting and bullpen. So if we can get the hitting up to par, to consistency is my key word here. The pitching remain consistent as it has all year, and the hitting come up to par and be consistent. If we can do that, then we can say this is something that is more than just a blip, more than just okay, you got your streak out of the way, now go back to being the Reds. And I think it's something that we can see. But you can't, I think now with the 2 losses, I believe after that, was it 1-7 start or 1-8, whatever it was, you see information out there, well, there are 3 above 500 since that time. We can't just go 3 above 500. We've got to get to that 575, 600 mark to make up for the dismal start and to get ourselves competitive.
Right.
And I think now if you get Alex Wood back, from what I've been reading, 3 to 4 weeks, and if he's something, then you add another quality starter who at GABP, his forte, as I've read it, is ground ball outs, and we need that at GABP.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan. By definition, I'm subjective, but I try to look at that objectively and say, okay, if we can get the hitting to be more consistent, I think what we've seen can be the norm.
All right. Well, let's look at one of our Facebook questions here, or a comment. It's a comment and then a question from Jared Bucher. He says, well, I got pretty excited when they won 6 in a row. Then the Reds proceed to lose the next 2 games. Should we still be buyers, or are we just being delusional about being able to contend this year? Well, let's deal with the buyers-sellers thing a little bit later. This thing about being delusional, which you just said, you're subjective, you're a fan, and I am too, and I'm like fired up. I don't care if I'm delusional, all right? Baseball's supposed to be fun, right? So beginning of the season, we went on record on here and said how many games we thought they'd win. And you guys were like in the 70s. What was your number? 76?
I believe I was 76, and
I
you
think
guys mocked
Tom was maybe 79 or 80, and I was like 84, maybe something like that. And I still feel that way. I would rather be positive and hope that's what they're going to do. And then if I get disappointed, I get disappointed. Oh well. But yeah, so I'm willing to be delusional, Jared. I mean, I really am. I mean, when I see what's happening at the plate with Puig and Winker's hit again, Suarez will hit again. I'm not worried about him. And Votto's hit over 300 now. His slash line is really good for the last several, I don't know how many games. I read something earlier today about it, and I don't remember the numbers exactly, but it's like that's pretty much typical Joey. Slugging, maybe not so much because he hit a home run yesterday, but he's the power. I think the power is definitely diminished for him. Getting on base, maybe not, because he still leads the team on base, but it's still not typical Joey on base. So, in time, we'll see what happens with him. But that's who I am. I think they can contend, and so I'm not. To Jared's question, I'm not at all a seller. A buyer depends. I mean, we can get to that now if we want, but I don't think we're in the traditional sense of the word, of what that usually means. I think buyer and seller, that's kind of it's on the extreme usually, right? If you're a buyer, you're willing to you'll buy that, you'll rent that guy, you'll trade for a guy who's going to be a free agent just to try to help you win something right now. And I don't think we should do that. I think you give up too much if you do that, and I certainly don't think we should be a seller. Does that mean we shouldn't trade somebody who we're pretty sure we don't have a chance to sign next year? Maybe, maybe so. But as long as we get something decent for him, I don't want to give somebody away either. I mean, what's the difference of trading Yasiel Puig for kind of nothing versus keeping him the rest of the year? And if he walks, and you didn't really get anything of value anyway. Only if you get something of real value. But
for me, it's too early to answer the question.
I do too.
We went into the Milwaukee series knowing that of the next 13 games, 11 were Milwaukee and Chicago. We're through 4 of those games. We're right where we started with the split, but it's promising. But in terms of buyer-seller, I think we won't know until the All-Star break. Now, I looked at the record. We're 5.5 out of the Central. Now, you look at the wild card, and the wild card, Jeff, we're tied for 9th. However, we're only 3.5 out.
Oh, yeah, it's tight, yeah.
So there is definitely the potential that you will not have to sell.
Yeah.
Or you're not in a position to be the traditional seller. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's too early.
Right. And then with the schedule coming up, they have to win overall, but you really have to win within the division. And that's what Milwaukee has done. Mm-hmm. They are 20-12 right now versus the Central. And they're a half game behind the Cubs. The Cubs in first place are 13-11. The Cardinals are 15-17. Then the Reds and Pirates are tied for last right now, or tied for fourth. That sounds a little better than tied for last or tied for fourth. Anyway, Pirates are 12-14. The Reds are 13-19. So
Central.
Yeah, you go back to the beginning of the season, that losing streak. We lost a bunch of games to the
Milwaukee
Pirates.
and Pittsburgh. Yeah,
we lost to and Milwaukee. So that since then probably played it pretty even. I haven't really looked at it that closely. We're going to see left-handed pitching coming up, as we were discussing earlier with the Cubs. I think, as you mentioned, one of the games with the Angels is a left-handed pitcher. The Reds are 9-9 against lefties, and that's actually the best record in the division. 7-8 for the Cubs, Brewers 10-13, Cardinals 7-8, Pirates 8-11, Reds are 9-9. So maybe that sets up well for that weekend series. I don't know. It is the Cubs. The Cubs have been the streakiest team in baseball this year.
Yes.
They had that horrible start, and then they won like 21 out of 30 games or 21 out of 20, some crazy thing. Then they slumped again. Now they're starting to hit again. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Are they going to keep being streaky? And maybe we got a chance to win a series against them this weekend. We'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see. And we're going Friday night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray pitching against
Carlos Quintana.
Yeah. So that'll be good. I haven't seen Sonny pitch in person ever, so that'll be fun. Buyers, sellers, I think you're right. We got to wait. It's too soon because they are in this position right now where they, depending on what they do, not even just to the All-Star break, because the trade deadline is not till the 31st. Even a week or two after that, you've still got time. There's still plenty of time. So they've still got almost a month of games to play before you have to do that. Now, there was a news report out about Reds said they'd be interested in an offensive player, a controllable offensive player. Well, yeah, I hope so. I hope you're always interested in that. But I think that was a way of them saying we are more than interested. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're always interested in that. When they said that, it got me thinking that, maybe they really are pursuing it. Because you're always interested in it. Like if somebody comes to you with a good deal, yeah, you're interested. When they said that, maybe that was to say, hey, everybody, we are going to pursue something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they'll do, but it's got to be controllable. I would not be in favor of trading for a guy who just is a rental, like the Dodgers did with Machado last year. I wouldn't be in favor of that. So
agreed.
But the Dodgers, doesn't matter what they do, they're still winning. They didn't keep Machado, but look at them now. They might be the best team in baseball. Mike Long also asked two questions. One was predictions of activity at the July 31 trade deadline, buy, sell, or neither, and I think we've already answered that. He also says, what about upcoming changes in the rotation and bullpen with Wood's return? So I always say you don't have to make a decision now. Make a decision when you have to make the decision. What would be your prediction who you think it'll come down to? What they might do
in terms of, say, a starter no longer being a starter.
Because Wood's going to start. I mean, he's going to get a chance to start. I don't.
If it were today, I would move Disco out of the rotation. If it were today,
put him in the bullpen.
I've been reading that, and obviously, starting out the game and striking out 6 straight batters. People saying, well, if he only has to face the batters once, go ahead and put him in a bullpen. Well, yeah, how often does he strike out 6 in a row?
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Bob Steve was our other guy that struck out 6 in a row, and you certainly aren't going to say he's lighting it up, but he's doing much better. I would have to say, though, as of today, all things being equal, I would move Disco out of the rotation. You're not going to send him to Louisville, so there's a good chance he would go to the bullpen. And so do you move one of your lefties out of the bullpen? And there's one lefty you're not going to touch, Garrett.
No, he's staying.
And it comes down between Dukes and Peralta. And so do you want to get one of them, or do you bring Cody Reed up? So I'm not sure what you do in the bullpen, to be honest with you. But I would say I would be starting, and Alex Wood is a lefty. I would start him over Disco.
Right.
How about you?
Well, active right now, you've got, as you said, the lefties. You've got Duke and Garrett, and Peralta's on the injured list right now. Honestly, we don't have what I would consider a strong left-handed bullpen. Really, I mean, we got one guy. Yet, look at the bullpen numbers. It's some of the best bullpen numbers in the league.
Yes.
During the winning streak, I think they pitched like 18 some innings, gave up 2 runs.
Yes.
I mean, you'll take that. So maybe the right left thing, it matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's who's performing, who's doing better, and do you do that? So and Garrett, you don't want to just make him a guy to come in to pitch to one guy. Come in and save him to get Christian Yelich out in the 8th inning when there's 2 guys on base.
Right.
Because he's too good to only throw to one guy. They did that some earlier in the year, and I didn't like it. Like, we need to see more of him. He might, he may be the best reliever on the team right now. So I want to see more of him. But I don't think there is a good answer. I don't know what the answer is, because I've always wished all season they had one less pitcher and one more offensive player. Which brings us to another question. Scooter's coming back probably Friday, from what I heard today. Who goes? And I think that's a question. And it's probably Phillip Ervin, I guess. Could be Kyle Farmer. I don't know. Really, the bigger question is, Scooter plays a lot. What's that going to do to other guys and other at-bats, and who's going to be playing where? And because he's going to play second base, which reduces second base time for Dietrich, Peraza. What happens with those 2 guys? I really don't know.
I was thinking about this earlier today, and having Iggy as our shortstop and Scooter as your second baseman, and then everyone and our outfield's got Winker, Senzel, and Puig. So the odd men out are going to be Peraza, Dietrich, and Farmer.
Well, Farmer's kind of already the odd man out already, because
so
he's the 25th
out of that,
guy.
then what do you do with one of these guys? You're not going to do anything with Tucker Barnhart, as bad as he's been hitting, but Kyle Farmer can catch. But is he kind of a catcher, or is he an emergency catcher?
He's the emergency catcher.
Right, so you don't probably want to do anything with Barnhart. So it comes down to those 3. You're not going to touch Peraza just because of his versatility. And last year, I don't think you are, at least. And last year in the second half of the season, he tore it up, and they're hoping he'll do that again.
And he's hit well lately. He's hit really
Dietrich
well.
is such a fan favorite, but taking that out, the guy produces. His average is 230, but he produces, and he's such an energizing force on that team. I really have to say, listening to myself talk about this, Kyle Farmer would probably be even more so the odd man out. But I tell you, like I texted you the other night when he hit a home run, the throw-in. This guy was the throw-in, and look what he's done. He didn't hit any homers until this year, did he?
No, but he hadn't he'd only played
and he hasn't had a lot of at-bats, so to speak, with the Reds.
Yeah, but he hardly had been up with the Dodgers. He hadn't played much in the majors. So he's got more experience this year in the big leagues than he had before.
And Josh Van Meter went down to Louisville, and what's he doing? He's tearing it up again.
Well,
but that's in Louisville.
It's in Louisville, and they're playing with the Major League ball down there now against AAA pitchers. So I don't know what that means, because he came up and didn't really do much.
In all fairness, he didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but you're right.
Not a lot. Senzel has come up and played well, but I think Senzel is a completely different level of player.
Yep.
Tom texted us the other night. You guys still what did he say? Are you guys still?
You guys think he can really
still
be
a sure thing?
And then that night he just go off and hit a home run and did all these other things.
And I was like, well, so far so good for a rookie. I mean, he's not going to win Rookie of the Year with Pete Alonso playing for the Mets, but still, it's you can't. Yeah, he's done it. I think he's a guy who came to the majors not hoping to get there, but expecting to be there. And so I think he's a future leader in the clubhouse.
I got to say this: Tom was not big on putting Senzel in center field. He's never played. My thought is this: if you've been playing ball all your life, and Senzel has, and you're a natural and you're an athlete, you're going to make it at any position. You can make it at almost any position. Chris Welch, I love hearing him speak more than any of the other Reds announcers. I don't know if you caught
more than
this
Tom?
the other night.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you caught this the other night. Welsh was talking about Senzel. Not his exact words, but his meaning. He said this, Jeff. He believed that Senzel could play at any position, and then he said, even behind the plate, and be a very good Major League Baseball player. And that's what we've seen in Senzel. This kid will produce.
Yeah.
And again, he's been playing what, Jeff? Since early May.
Not
maybe?
long enough.
We had an extra year of him, and I like how you said you don't want me to answer that, and I laughed. As I told you, I laughed as I texted you that comment. But this kid, as I said last year, he has performed at every level. As long as he continues to progress, there's no reason to think he won't perform at the major league level. And so far, he has.
Oh, yeah, he has. He's been consistent. His batting average is first 10 games or so. It's been right in that about a 20-point window.
270 now?
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the 250s, the 270s. He's been in that window. Consistent. Hit some home runs early. Didn't hit any for a little bit. Now he's showing.
Yep.
He's hit some again.
Yep.
He'll steal a base sometimes.
And playing very good center field.
Yeah. I listened to him on Jim Day's podcast. He said that he thinks he'll be in center field for a while. Maybe not his whole career, but for now, he thinks he's there for a good bit. Until somebody else can move him out of there and come up and do that.
Who are you thinking?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
You're thinking Siri or...
Well, Siri, I think Taylor Trammell can play it. The question is, his arm has been questioned. I talked to him at then the Dragons had that 20th year anniversary game, and I talked to Trammell. He was there, and I got to talk to him, and he's like, my arm is stronger. I feel like I can play that. But the Reds he hasn't played a lick of center field in Chattanooga this year. That tells me the Reds have decided he's not a center fielder. And I get that because there are other guys in the system who aren't that far behind him who are definitely can play center field well and are playing well. And Stuart Fairchild's one. He's hitting well. And I don't know if he's in Daytona or if he's in Chattanooga. But he's really hitting the ball well, and he's a good center fielder. But I tell you, the best center fielder in the organization right now is Michael Ciani at Dayton. What I've seen of him and what other people who have watched him play all season, Tom Nichols for one, who is the broadcaster for that team, has said that kid, if he was in the majors right now, would be one of the best center fielders in the major leagues.
Defensively, we're talking? Okay.
Defensively, yeah, as a center fielder. If I'm looking at organization-wide, how pieces are going to fall in, I'm thinking I need to get Taylor Trammell really well in a corner because Michael Ciani's coming. He was a fourth-round pick, but he got first or second-round kind of bonus money because there was a signability issue because he committed to UVA. He's 19.
Yeah.
He didn't hit a lick for about 6 weeks when he got to Dayton. He was hitting like 130-something. Or 150, but his average is up to about 240 now. He's been probably their hottest hitter since the last week of May, and he's got speed. He bats left-handed. I think down the road he might be the next guy after Senzel to play center field.
Okay.
I mean, that'll be my hot take. Michael Ciani next center fielder for the Reds after Senzel because I think that's what they're looking at. I mean, he is that. That's where you're going to play him. Now, does that mean somebody else might not play it in the meantime, in between? Yeah, that could happen. It depends on needs and and what you do with Senzel. If an outfield spot actually opens up that makes sense that you do, but that's what I think's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Fairchild's pretty good too, but if he's a better hitter, he'll be good enough center fielder. If those two things being equal, Siani's really good out there. Go back to some questions here from Facebook. Another one, Mike Rouse, says, who do they trade, or do they sign Jeanette, Dietrich, or trade them? Sort of like this whole thing. So I said before, I can see Dietrich staying.
Because they have another year of control on him, right? In arbitration, he's got an
arbitration year, and Jeanette does not.
Right.
And they're similar guys, although I think Jeanette's a better hitter.
Yeah.
Overall.
More consistent.
Yeah. I prefer him overall as a hitter. I mean, Dietrich, what's this, like his 7th year now in the league, 6th or 7th year he's played. I mean, he's a good player, but he was signed as a minor league contract for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He's never really proven to be an everyday, over the long haul guy. Is he suddenly going to become that? Now, Scooter Jeanette did at a similar age, probably, but doesn't mean Derek Dietrich's going to. So I think if money's not an object, I'd more in favor of keeping Scooter around than I am Dietrich, unless Scooter comes back. And I mean, he had a groin injury. I don't see why he's not going to be fine.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, it's not like he hurt a shoulder, hurt a knee. It's not a joint injury, so I think he'll be fine. Will he be rusty at the start? Maybe. I was driving over here tonight and listened to Lance McAllister on the radio, and he says, "Well, here's our update on Scooter tonight. He just doubled in his first at bat for Louisville
Needed that
tonight."
because we were no hit the other night with Scooter in the
yeah.
lineup.
Yeah. So he doubled in I guess first inning probably. Anyway, his first at bat anyway. So I'm looking forward to him being back, and I'm hoping he's in the lineup Friday night. That'll be fun, and it'd be just like Scooter to do something.
You know, Jeff, you sit there and I was looking at all these 1-year contracts and the money that's assigned to Puig, to Roark. Doesn't Roark have the second highest salary after Joey Votto? I believe he does.
Well, keep talking. I'll look it up.
And so then you also have Scooter, who's making a decent salary, if you would, and Alex Wood. So all of these players, Jeff, that I just mentioned, have one thing in common. They're free agents after this season.
Oh, yeah.
So you have a whole lot of money freed up. So looking at that, you have that option. But if Scooter comes back and just absolutely performs like the Scooter we've seen the past 2 years, you do what you can to keep him, but you don't want to give him that long a contract. As well as Dietrich's been, I agree with you, I would keep Scooter.
Yes, you are correct. Well, sort of. Are they still paying Matt Kemp?
How about the second highest with players who are currently on their roster? Does that help?
Because Matt Kemp was making $21 million this year, although we got money in that and so forth, so we're not paying him that much. But
we just don't have to pay Homer that much.
Yeah, no, yeah, $10 million. He is making $10 million this year, and that is actually on the active roster right now. He is the second highest paid player on the team. Scooter's at 9.775. Alex Wood 9.65. Puig 9.59.
And so there, Jeff, you're at 36 to 40 million.
Yeah, there's three guys and basically there's four guys making $10 million.
Right.
So that's $40 million, and Joey will make $25 million next year. And all four of those guys are free agents. So yeah, there's $40 million. What are you going to do with that $40 million next year? You're going to give. I mean, I would say. They won't give. They might offer Roark something. But ain't going to be any more, or very little more. I mean, he might get 11 or 12. Right? Scooter's going to want 15. Puig's going to want 15. If Wood comes back and pitches well, he's going to want 15. At least, or more.
All right, so last year we were.
It just depends on. Part of it depends on how they finish the season.
That's where I'm going.
Because you got a Puig who started terrible, but now all of a sudden his value might be going back up, especially if he finishes well. Alex Wood's untradeable right now, anyway.
Right.
So you don't know. And Jeanette hadn't played all season either.
Right.
So anyway, go ahead.
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, when Wood comes in, I would like to see us keep Roark and Wood. Last year at this time, we were enamored with what pitcher, Jeff?
Enamored with who?
Went to the Angels.
What's his name?
Matt Harvey.
Matt Harvey. I can't remember his name.
We were enamored with him. I think they made an offer, but he went to California, right? I would love to see us keep Wood and Roark, but I do not want to see us break the bank. Puig is he's very intriguing. I think we were texting that I can, as you know, I can't stay up late and watch the game. So Friday night I stayed up and watched that 4 hour.
I couldn't believe
4 hour and 8 minute game.
Did you take a nap in the 7th inning and wake back up? That's what I wondered.
But Puig, even when he's so frustrating, when he goes up there and the pitcher walks 2 guys in front of him and he goes and swings at the first pitch. I don't care if it's down the middle of the strike zone. The guy just hits a guy and walks 2 pitchers. You don't swing at the first pitch. But when he stands out in right field and that ball's hit to him, move at your own risk. The guy defensively is just incredible. So I'm a little intrigued with Puig and what they could do with him. But I would not break the bank.
I will disagree with you a bit on Puig swinging at the first pitch.
Okay. Because
the guy just walks 2 guys. What's he want to do to the next guy? He wants to get.
He wants to throw a strike.
He's going to throw a fastball over the plate, and if it's down low where Puig likes it, I'd swing it. I wouldn't swing at a high strike, but he didn't swing at high strikes because he can't hit him.
Understand? That's my rule of thumb, and I think that's everyone's rule of thumb. Here's who actually did it. I think it was Peraza, and I'm like, of all people, Mr. Pop up to right field, Jose Peraza, you of all people, don't do it. If I'm going to say anyone can do it, I'm going to say a Votto, a Winker, a Puig, and a Senzel. But
the two hits were the night of the walk off. The two back-to-back singles. Senzel hit a first pitch.
Yep.
And did Winker hit a first pitch too?
Yep. But there weren't a bunch of.
I don't think you can have I'm just saying you can't have a blind. Yeah, and I think you're agreeing with me now. Agreeing to. I'm not saying I changed your mind.
I like it. You're agreeing with me.
It's about time.
All I'm saying is a rule of thumb: if a guy's wild, don't make it easy on him.
No,
that's all.
But if you get a pitch you like,
yes, especially Puig, a home run hitter, and if it's a low strike, Puig likes the low pitches.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't remember what he swung at, but
I don't either.
Anyway, but I know.
Can't be as bad. I don't know if you saw that.
Anytime a guy swings at a first pitch in that situation, I'm waiting for your text.
Can't be.
Why did he swing at that?
Well, it's not as standard as the DH. I'm just saying, right?
Yes, I'm on record as wanting the DH. And we were talking the other night about what was it about? Something about the lineup. And I was like, who do this? And I got, if we had
it. And I responded, there it is. And you responded back, that's my go-to.
It is. It's my go-to. And I'm looking forward to that next couple nights. We get to have a DH.
And you'll have to let me know how it went. I'll have to DVR it because I think one game starts at 10:07.
Yeah. Well, I won't be up.
Oh, yes, you will. You'll fall asleep watching it.
Tuesday night I can stay up. Thursday I got to get up early in the morning, so I won't stay up for that one.
Well, that game actually starts a little bit sooner than 10:07.
Does it? Oh, I don't know. However,
I think it's a getaway day, so to speak.
However, since we are 3 old Reds fans, I think I can say this on this podcast. Oh, it's an 8:07 game.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. See. All right. You're agreeing with me now. See how that works both ways?
It's an 8:07. I don't know if I can make it to the end.
Hey,
however,
Milwaukee was 8:15.
However, at some point in the middle of the night, I will get up out of bed.
Yeah.
All right.
It won't be a 12:15 Joel Youngblood, right?
No, it won't be that. Some point during the middle of the night, I will get out of bed. And I will look at my phone to see how the game went.
I do that a lot. Yeah, I'll wake up and see, okay, what happened.
I'll probably check my fantasy team, too, to see if I lost or gained any points over the night. What do you think, Callie? Callie's our mascot for the show tonight. What kind of dog is that?
Callie is a cross between a Chihuahua and a King Charles Spaniard. Good little loyal
Spaniard or Spaniel?
Yes.
Spaniel. King Charles Spaniel. So, yes, she has that spaniel look about her face.
She does.
And she definitely size-wise is more like the Spaniel than the Chihuahua.
More like a Scooter or a Dietrich size-wise, right?
Yes. She's got gold around her neck, too, just like Dietrich. So did you see the other night when he got hit for the 6th time and he's going to first base and he went held up 6 fingers like. So yeah, that guy gets under people's skin on the other teams. He just has a way of doing that. So I sent a tweet to the Reds. I tagged the Reds people in it, and Jason Stark. You know who Jason Stark is?
I know the name. Yes.
Jason Stark writes great stuff. I mean, he's working for the Athletic now, and he loves weird stuff in baseball. So I tagged him too. I said, because they're making this big deal about it. He's the first Red ever, get hit by a pitch 3 times in one game. And I said, is he the first guy to ever hit 3 homers in a game and get hit by a pitch 3 times in a game?
At least in the same season,
At least in the same season, if ever. Nobody replied to me. I guess we're a nobody. But anyway, this made me wonder. See, you should stay up late Tuesday night because you might see something you've never seen before. Although you probably wouldn't because you'd probably fall asleep. So
I would.
Yeah. I'll struggle because I got to get up early Tuesday morning. So I might take a nap Tuesday afternoon so I can stay up.
I like when I mentioned about the game Friday night, and you go, is it a day game or night game? You go, I should be up by then.
Yes, I'm on summer break. But
Life of the professor.
I will definitely be up by then. So, yes. So Molly is pitching against somebody named Haney tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. And then...
Do they have the...
They do not have a...
Right.
Wednesday is still listed TBD.
So we do not know if they'll be... So
and they're listing
right
Cubs
now,
TBD. Where did you see Quintana?
Oh, you're talking Anaheim or Chicago?
No, I'm talking about Friday now. They're listing Cubs as TBD on the MLB.
I saw on ESPN.
ESPN had Quintana listed. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, that's cool.
And the Angels, the second night, they did not have the starter listed. So earlier today, the next 4 games in which a starter is listed for the opponent, at least earlier today, all were lefties.
All right, bring them on.
Bring them on. 9-9, right?
Might not get to see Winker play much, but bring
I know. I'd like to see that too.
Yeah. Oh, well.
13-9.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see here. We are. Let's find out how we want to finish this show up today. On Twitter, we have Dalton Spear at Daily Dalton says, "How have your feelings changed regarding Reds pitching changed, if they have, since your last podcast?" Well, you're asking a lot for me to remember what I said on the last podcast. I don't think they've changed. I think I'm still high on our pitching. I think Castillo has to cut down on the walks. I don't think he'll be. I think Castillo will struggle against a really good lineup, like he's shown twice against the Brewers, if he doesn't clean that up. I know a couple weeks ago they said on television one night Castillo has thrown fewer pitches across the plate than anybody. He gets the guys to chase a lot against a better team, better hitters. They're not going to chase as much. He didn't get to many 2-strike counts. Couldn't throw his changeup as much in that game. It hurt him. So I think that's what has to happen there. Roark, I knew Roark would be kind of what he is, bulldogish, pretty good most of the time. Once in a while, he might not get out of the 3rd inning. Which is true.
He's improving,
but he's better than he's been steadily getting better. I think Mahle, if you look at a lot of his other numbers other than ERA, some of those other predictive numbers like FIP and xFIP and some of those other pitching stats that all the stat heads say are more predictive than ERA. Those numbers for him are better than his ERA. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's pitching a little better than we think.
Now remember, in like his first 5 starts, the Reds were shut out 3 times.
Right, and he didn't get a lot of innings in.
Right.
And that's one thing that I'll see if I can explain this. I think I brought this up once before. ERA is based on 9 innings, earned runs per 9 innings. Well, when you were throwing 7, when starters were more routinely going 7 and 8 innings, if you give up 3 runs. Now, if you go only 5 or 5 2/3 and give up 3 runs, your ERA is not as good.
Right.
So, and Molly finally went 7 for his longest outing ever. His outings were a little shorter. I'd have to look at his run totals and see, but that ERA could be a little deceiving. Kind of like a ERA can be very deceiving for a reliever, right? I mean, David Hernandez's ERA is a little over 4, but David Hernandez pitches in lots of high leverage situations, and you don't cringe when David Hernandez goes in the game. I don't. I don't know if you do, but
No.
because there's probably been once or twice, he didn't have it and he gave up some stuff, but he's pretty good at not letting inherited runners score, it seems like, and doing the job. So it can be a little deceiving. So Gray, I'm happy with him. I mean, how can you not be? I think their ERA is all year. Their starter ERA has been anywhere from like 1 to 4 in the National League, depending on the week, and the reliever ERA is good too. So I don't have any problems with it. I think they're carrying one more than they need to, but the way David Bell has been using the bullpen makes sense. If he is shown maybe lately that he's going to let starters go just a little longer. If some philosophy changes or the starters prove that they can go a little longer, maybe he can feel free to have one fewer relievers. I don't know.
I would have to say that if you're coaching, managing a team in any sport, you do not want your players to speak out to the press. You want to keep it in the clubhouse. You want to keep it in the locker room.
Yeah.
I get that with Molly. But, Jeff, I liked how Molly responded from the standpoint, Jeff, that I like that the man wants the ball and he wants to pitch longer. He's not running. He's not hiding. He's saying, I want to develop. Okay? I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Secondly, Roark has also spoken up about it. All right, so the game was a game, not this past start, but the start before. What did he go, 7+ innings or something?
Yeah.
And remember, as the game wore on, the guy was in a zone.
Uh-huh.
And Jeff, this last game where he went 6 innings, I don't know if you saw it, the camera was in on the dugout, and you saw Bell and Roark talking, and as they walked away, Roark patted him on the back. And I think, Bell's coming around a little bit, because after the Molly comment, I found this very interesting. Bell's very careful with his words.
Oh, yeah.
Bell made the comment that we're both learning, we're both growing, and I think that was a very telling comment for Bell to make. So wed to the numbers, so wed to the stats, and so successful. And I was big on wanting them to hire him, and I was glad they did and not get a retread. It is sometimes frustrating when, wait a second, you're doing this. But as you said, we trust him. I think at the same point, there's a little bit of, you know what, if any pitcher, let's say Molly and Roark we're talking about, instead of going 5 2/3, if they can go 6 2/3, instead of 6, they can go 7. That's nice to be able to bring in another pitcher or so for just an inning or two. And let them develop. Yeah. Let them stretch.
And it's really if you look at the Reds' numbers and the rest of baseball, they're right in line with the way everybody else is doing it. Our relievers are not throwing way more innings than other people. It's all about the same. We're actually, I think the last time I saw some of those numbers, there's a lot of teams whose relievers have thrown more innings than the Reds' relievers have.
Well, the Reds have a complete game this year.
Yeah.
They will?
Oh, will they?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
We had one last year.
Castillo might. I mean, I could see. Well, I don't know if Castillo can because it's the walks. You get actually the guy who won't walk people, who if he's really rolling and can keep it together third time through the order is Molly, and can keep his pitch count down. I mean, he's probably, as far as pitch count and walks, maybe the one guy who could.
Remember last year at this time, Molly couldn't.
No.
The improvement he's made.
Oh yeah. And that's what it takes, and he's getting it, and he's getting it. So, I think they're fine. I mean, you can't argue with the overall numbers. Yes, we wish Castillo would have pitched better on Saturday. Yes, wish DeSclafani would have pitched better on Sunday. you're going to have games like that. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your staff is. You're going to have starters. Not everybody's going to have a quality start every time. So
Castillo, I read this the other day. I can't confirm it, but they say take out his starts against the Brewers. His ERA is 1.17.
Yeah, well, he's got to learn to pitch against the Brewers because they're in the division, and he's going to see them 3 or 4 times every summer.
Yep.
So last show, we talked about trade of what I referred to as sort of the trade of the century for the Reds, and with the trade deadline coming up, this one was made in November. It was the Geronimo, Armbrister, Billingham, Menke, and Morgan that we got by trading Tommy Helms, Lee May, and Jimmy Stewart to the Astros. Mm-hmm. So last week we talked about Geronimo and his impact on the Reds, and Ed Armbrister. We'll talk about him this week. Yes, he had a little bit of impact, not near as much as a Cesar Geronimo did, or Jack Billingham did, or obviously Joe Morgan did. But when you look him up on Baseball Reference, it says pinch hitter and outfielder. Well, mostly he was a pinch hitter, and it's just so he was from the Bahamas. Did you know that? Played 5 years in the big leagues, all with the Reds, and in those 5 years he got 265 at bats. So not many at bats, bat at 245 batting average. However, he is pretty well known for one incident in the 1975 World Series, and I looked at it on YouTube. I Googled it today, and there's the whole 4 minutes of the whole discussion is on YouTube. The play, Tony Kubek going on and on about it. Marty Brenneman was actually on the TV broadcast that year. That was the year that they brought in the home team guys and so forth. So he was on the broadcast. So the series, it was Game 3. The series was tied 1-1. It was the bottom of the 10th. It was tied 5-5. And do you remember who the pitcher was? Probably not.
I remember who the umpire was.
Yeah. The umpire was?
Gary Barnett.
Larry
Barnett.
Gary Barnett was a football coach. Larry Barnett.
His
other brother,
Northwestern,
Larry.
right?
Yeah.
And in Colorado.
Yeah.
So, Larry Barnett.
Yes.
American League umpire, by the way.
Yes, he was. And he got a lot of grief for a long time.
Yes, he did.
From American League fans and Red Sox fans.
Not by Reds fans.
No. So Jim Willoughby was on the mound.
Okay.
And Geronimo, we talked about last week, and we mentioned this last week, just didn't go into the rest of the detail. He led off the inning with a single to right. And then Armbrister pinch hit for Eastwick. Eastwick ended up being the winning pitcher in this game because he had just pitched in the top of the 10th. So Armbrister, this is an interesting thing here. Armbrister pinch hits. This is how baseball has changed. He's a pinch hitter, and what did they ask him to do? Bunt. I mean, all the analytics, we'd all go crazy now. You send a guy to pinch hit and you ask him to bunt?
That's your second thing behind the DH, right?
What? What are you doing? But he's probably a much better bunter than Raleigh Eastwick was. And maybe Eastwick was done for the night anyway. He probably pitched enough. So he bunts it right in front of the plate, and then he and Fisk get tangled up, right? Mm-hmm. And then Fisk, what does Fisk do? Do you remember?
Picks up the ball and throws it away.
Threw it into center field. So Geronimo goes to third, and Armbrister ended up getting to second because they threw to third, and Armbrister was hustling, and he gets to second. So the big controversy then, and then Daryl Johnson is the Red Sox manager, he's out arguing about it, and they're showing it again. And Tony Kubek, who I never liked.
You didn't like Kubek?
He's an American League homer.
I liked him.
He was always an American League homer. He's a Yankee. He's a Yankee shortstop.
Yeah.
I was not ever a really big Kubek fan. He's talking very loudly and in a whiny voice, if you ask me. That's why he was all about how that should have been interference. And I mean, yeah, you can't get in front of a fielder. Doesn't the guy bunt have a right to run to first base?
That was the argument made.
So that's the whole thing. And then Brenneman chimes in a little bit, but he didn't really. He's like, yeah, this is going to be controversial type of comment, but he didn't really give an opinion, which if
he would
was
today.
Well, if he would have been on the radio calling the game, he probably would have given an opinion. But he didn't, and he would today, obviously. And of course, Kurt Gowdy's the play-by-play guy. So, and I liked Kurt Gowdy.
He was a big Red Sox guy, right, Kurt Gowdy?
That's what people always said. Yeah.
Oh, if you listen to that last out of the series,
Yeah.
it was almost anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was. Second and third, they bring in, and there's another weird thing that happened. They change pitchers. They bring in Roger Moret, and they intentionally walk Pete Rose with that. So then he pitches, and then Merv Retman strikes out swinging for the first out, and then Morgan gets a base hit to center, and they win the game. So that was that walk. There were 2 walk-off hits in that series. This one, and then of course Fisk in Game 6. So that's Ed Armbrister, his contribution
Number 2,
Reds
I believe he was.
in Reds lore. Speaking of uniform numbers, episode 41.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go through this real quick and then we'll be done. 29 players have worn number 41 for the Reds. Most recently last year was Matt Whistler. And in 17-18, so part of last year too, Kevin Shackelford. A couple of good relievers through the years, Jeff Shaw and Tom Hume.
Yep.
And then a couple famous pitchers for the Reds wore number 41. Do you know?
Well, one's obviously Seaver.
Okay, there you
And
go.
if I'm not mistaken, one is the old rounding third and heading home.
Yeah,
right?
Nuxall wore it for like a year or two. Seaver is probably the most, because he wore it for several years, all the years he was with the Reds. Seaver won 6 years with the Reds. He went 75-46, had a 3.18 ERA. He was a 2-time All-Star as a Red. And 81, which was the strike year.
He went. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you remember anything about what he did that year?
I'm thinking the year they traded for him, he was 7-3. If memory serves correct, Jeff, he was 7-3 with the Mets and 14-3 with the Reds. So for the year he finished 21-6.
Well, I will.
If memory serves correct, that's a long time ago.
Well, you got a pretty good memory on that kind of stuff. You might not remember what you had for lunch, but.
Well, today I went to Mom and Dad, so I do.
Oh, okay. All right. So in 77, he went. Yeah, he was 21-6 overall. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And he was third in the Cy Young voting.
Yep.
He was
So
an
in
all-star.
81, you were saying the strike
81
year.
was the strike year. He was 36 years old.
Did he lead the majors in ERA or something?
No, he led the majors in wins. He went 14-2. Had he had the best winning percentage and the best wins in the league, and he also had an ERA of 2.54. He was second in the Cy Young voting in 81.
Was it a Dodger?
I will click this link and tell you who won the Cy Young that year. It was it was 81. We know who won the Cy Young that year. Yeah, it was a Dodger. Fernando Mania. That was Fernando Mania season. So yeah, because he went 13-7 and a 2.48. I mean, you could say Seaver in some ways had better numbers. They both had 8 first place votes, and Fernando beat him by 3 points in the voting points.
Wow.
70-67. So close, but I mean Fernando threw almost 30 more innings. And he struck out 180 guys. Seaver struck out 87. Yeah. So I mean, it was Fernando's year. You know, that's all we heard about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was a rock star that year. So
Yep.
you know, he won the award. So anyway, so that wraps up our stuff. Guess we'll be at the game Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm 1-0 this year. I'm going to Reds games. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully our next time we can get Tom back in the fold. I had him last time, you this time. Hopefully all 3 of us can get it all back together next time. Maybe we get John in here and maybe somebody else.
You know, what we need to do, too, had some texts with some buddies from Southern California, New York, and PA. We all went to high school together. Oldest ballparks after Fenway and Wrigley. You might be surprised at the answers.
Oh, Dodger Stadium's probably one of them.
You might be surprised. And you might be surprised after that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look up. Tom, that's your job. Look that up for next show. I don't think he's not.
When you're traveling.
When you're traveling, yes. Give you something to do on the plane. So, I know he's off this week somewhere, so we wish him well on his trip. So, all right, well, let's say good night, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day you're listening to this. If you've made it all the way to the end, if you have, we appreciate it. And look, thank you to all those who chimed in on Facebook and Twitter. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And keep that stuff coming, and we enjoy doing that. So, with that said, 1, 2, 3,
Go Reds!